Anyways, welcome back to the Brothers Woods podcast. We are here. We have just seen Star Wars The Last Jedi. Me and Jared twice now. Emmitt and Tyler, who are our guests today.
For the first time.
And literally like an hour ago.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes a difference. But
yes, we're not giving them much time to think on it today. We went and got something to eat so they can have a little bit of time. Then we're back. We're here. Let's fucking do it.
So, let's discuss how this is the most perfect movie ever made.
That's a personal belief you can have, my man.
We're going to start the drama early.
I think this is going to be one of those movies that is really all over the place with what people think at different spots. One guy's going to love one spot and one guy's going to hate one spot, the same exact spot in the movie. And so this is going to be extremely controversial, I feel like.
Also, it's like 12:30 at night, so...
That is true. Tyler thinks that's really late, but unbeknownst to him...
Well, I'm an adult.
Jared
so.
says this is morning.
It depends on whose hours we're going by here.
For Jared, it's lunch.
This is when I first eat. That's actually true, because after work, I'll just come home and eat for the first time of the day.
Same. You get your breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at 1 a.m.
That's right.
But anyways, coming through with this, we're going to start off, as always, with a quick review. No spoilers. Just kind of what you thought, and then we'll give it a little grade real quick, and then we'll go into discussing it in detail and whatnot. Emmitt, we'll start with you. What did you think?
I thought the movie was really good. Really good. I did. If I would have to give it a rating, I'd have to give it an 8. 8
out of 10. Okay. Jared, you want to go ahead and go?
Sure. I'm super conflicted about this, and I have been since I saw it, because I walked out of the theater, and I was like, yo, that movie was great. I think I even told Josh, 10 out of 10. Awesome.
You did.
And then, later that night, I started thinking about it, and thinking of all the plot holes, and some of the character decisions that I disagreed with. And ever since then, I'm really conflicted about it. Even up to seeing it again, it's like the movie itself feels well made. It doesn't, and I don't have a pacing issue. I've heard people talk about pacing issues with it, but I don't have any real issue of how the movie is on its own, as much as it's just the decisions they've made about story decisions they've made and lore decisions they've made bother me a lot, particularly with Luke. And no spoilies, but that's confusing the hell out of me. So, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like, it's a good movie and worth the watch, but it's also a confusing movie that isn't amazing. So I'm just going to settle with a 7 out of 10.
Okay. For me, Josh here, I think I'm going to have to go with kind of pretty much a lot of what Jared said. I actually did have a little bit of a pacing issue, not necessarily with the whole movie, but the comedy I feel like was a little I was saying maybe 70% of it hit. And I think that's because 30% of it was not well
unnecessary.
Paced. Well, not even unnecessary, but either unnecessary or just not paced. It was a joke already had just happened. Now we're into serious moment. And then in the middle of a serious moment, they make some little joke. And it was you just had a joke. You moved into a serious moment. Have your serious moment. Then you can go back to doing the joke. Stuff like that. For instance, just to give a little, well, I guess I can't.
Yeah, don't
spoiler. But I'll give that part later. Overall, though, the movie I thought was a fun movie to go see. Definitely worth seeing. I can't wait for J.J. Abrams to be back for the next 9th movie, because this movie felt like Rian Johnson didn't realize he was making part of the main trilogy. He felt like he was making an offshoot or something. And he didn't realize there were certain lure guides that some of them he needed to hit. You can't just be completely all right, we have all these big things that everyone's been waiting for, and we're just going to say fuck you to all of them. You got to hit something right. Anyways, for me, probably going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
That's
right. Solid 8. 8 out of 10. And I liked all of it.
Perfect movie, is that what you said?
I mean, it's no Man with Iron Fist. But,
okay.
But I will.
Said that twice before, though?
Yeah, The Man with Iron Fist is the most perfect movie ever created. I will stand by that. It's a fact.
That's the one with the Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
The RZA? The RZA is in
Okay.
it. Yes. The RZA is the main character.
And writer.
And producer, probably. And then.
And investor, most likely.
That's a different movie.
Yeah.
So. I liked it. I thought it was really good. I see the thing with the jokes. It's gotten to a point now. I think it's most movies though.
It's all blockbusters do that.
Yeah, it's
Marvel formula.
They want to keep it upbeat and happy for everybody, but then try to keep it serious at the same time. So I think if they had taken out 2 or 3 of them, have been a solid 9.
Yeah, I could agree with a lot of that. But yeah, so overall we probably gave it a 7.5, 8 out of 10, something like that, around that rating.
Go see it.
Yeah, definitely
That's the
just go
rating.
see it. If you have seen it, then stay with us. If you haven't seen it, then, do what you got to do. Go see it. Come back later. We love your face. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. Let's get into the actual discussion of the movie. Who wants to start with anything?
Yeah, Luke was not really the Luke that I wanted.
Oh, wait.
That-
This is the spoiler part, by the way.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So that's the big thing about this movie. I really liked a lot of it, and a lot of the complaints that people have I see, but I don't necessarily share. The big thing for me was just, it's like the lasting thing for me is that Luke is not the Luke that I thought he would be. And that you can put that on me for having like fanboy, expectations or anything. It's just the fact that Luke doesn't think he can save Kylo, or the fact that Luke has any semblance of wanting to kill Kylo to solve a problem. It doesn't make sense for the guy who's like willing to risk everything to maybe save his father, who doesn't even know. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me that he would do that against his son, his nephew, but he was willing to risk all to try and save or turn his father back from the dark side, essentially. It's just crazy that he thinks that way. And also just the fact that Luke seems so out of place and so lost when it's like, you're supposed to be like the dude, the wisest dude almost. Like, you're the guy who comes out at the end of all the shit that goes down. You know what I mean?
Luke's the wisest because Luke's the one that's left. Like,
Yeah,
he's not
but-
necessarily... Like I was saying before, he's like, he's still really young as a Jedi. Like,
I'm just, like,
none of the masters on the actual council, none of them are that young. The majority of them, I'm fairly certain, are like hundreds of years old.
True.
And Luke's barely getting into like his 50s, it seems.
True.
And so...
It's just like, if you see anything from him after Return of the Jedi, he is the most confident and competent like person that there is. He's just like, hey, I'm gonna go on this mission. You wanna be a star pilot for me or whatever? And he'll just go complete the mission like it's no problem. Like, get some trees and then just walk out, and no one even gets close to stopping him or anything because he's just that good. How do you get from that guy who's excited about learning about the Jedi and all this, and then all of a sudden he makes one mistake, which doesn't even sound like Luke in the first place, and then he just breaks?
Well, it's been more or less, it's like there's a lot of pressure put on him because he's the last Jedi,
That's
or
true.
the most senior Jedi that they know of.
But that's the
And-
thing. Why does he think that there should be no Jedi
Because
after him,
after
he makes one mistake?
well, it's not based on his mistake, it's his idea of the Force and everything as a whole, as what he's learned through his time alone, and that it is all about the balance between the light and the dark, and that it's more of a mixture, and that it's not something that belongs to the Jedi or the Sith or anyone.
I mean, that's cool, and I like that. I'm just saying, I don't understand how he goes from the making a mistake on trying to kill Ben Solo to, oh, there should be no Jedi then. I don't see the logic that equals there. I can kind of see how maybe he thinks, okay, well, if Jedi thinking led me to try to kill Ben, then clearly Jedi thinking is wrong, so there should be no Jedi. But that's not like a real strong argument, I don't feel.
Well, you're also basing it on as like that's the only thing that happened. It's
Well,
like,
that's all we
I've
know
said-
that's happened.
Well, again, this is Star Wars. Like, there's always shit that we don't know that never
True.
gets explained unless
Until
you
the
read
books
like
come out,
some
yeah.
book in the back of a musty ass bookstore.
They're coming.
Yeah.
I'll listen
So
to it.
it's like I feel like the majority of the problems that people have with this movie is like
Will be explained away.
the exact same things that are in all Star Wars movies, but nobody wants to complain about them in the original ones because they're the original ones, and nobody wants to really point out that the problems in the prequel trilogy are carried out through pretty much all of the movies. But they just want to hate on the prequel trilogy because they're just so trash. And
they're
money
very
grubbing.
bad movies,
Yeah,
right.
They are genuinely bad movies.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now we have this new trilogy, and everybody wants to go, it's like, yeah, I would love it.
If only it didn't have
If
this.
only it was perfect and not just this trash. It's like, this is the exact same shit that we've been watching
I mean,
for
I
the past,
agree.
like, 70 years.
And the thing is, Star Wars at its core is like a pulpy sci-fi.
Yeah,
adventure.
Star Wars
It's
isn't
not,
supposed to be, like, cool and rad. Like, Star Wars is for fucking nerds, and it's cheesy and campy.
Yeah,
And it's like, the aliens were done by Jim fucking Henson in the first ones. Like, they're Muppets.
yeah. And maybe, that's a good way to look at it. I'm just saying that this Luke does not add up from the Luke that I think we're given.
I don't know, I just kind of
As a
see it
character.
happening. Like, I see it.
I don't understand
I see,
it.
like, his motivations and the things and where they're coming from. Because he's been put in this position of like ultimate power and ultimate responsibility. It's like, you're the one that's fucking in charge of the entirety of the Jedi now and everything that exists and where it goes from. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do my best. And it's like, oh, well, I did my best. And then my best murdered half of my students and turned the others to the dark side because I had a lapse in judgment, which I'm never supposed to have as a Grand Master.
And so there should be no Jedi.
Yeah.
But that's the crazy
But
part.
I also think that's more of like Luke in general with everything that he's gone through in his life, like his father killing his mother over conflictions in the dark side and the light side, and the Jedi Council like mistreating him, because the Jedi Council do mistreat Anakin.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Like they fucking ruin his life essentially.
I don't know if he really knows too much about all that.
I don't know what he knows about his father's life.
Well, I mean, he knows that his father's Darth Vader, and through the Force, he can learn pretty much whatever he wants.
Arguably. I mean, it depends.
So, I mean,
if
like,
they tell him.
well, I mean, it's his family, and as we can see in this movie, like, the Force super connects people with their families, so.
At least in this one, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Force powers in this one are just like.
I just say, like, it makes sense that it would build up to a point where, like, everything that says, like, Anakin, you're gonna have kids, and they're gonna bring balance to the Force. It's like, well, bringing balance to it means making it as open and free as, like, as equal as possible. So that means zero constraints and zero rules.
Yeah, I'd
and
argue
zero
that
management.
Anakin is the one who brought balance to the Force. He's the one who ultimately saw the destruction of the Jedi and then the Sith, really.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So he was the chosen one.
He was the chosen one if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
But what about his midichlorians?
And he's the one with a whole bunch of midichlorians.
Pod racer.
I don't know. I still don't see it how Luke could get. I think it would have been a hell of a lot cooler if we get this Luke who's like
You wanted a super badass superhero.
A super
Luke.
badass
no,
superhero Luke.
No, you can't
And
have
he's-
that. It's
and-
not right.
all
It's
he had to
wrong.
do was
he
be
needs
like-
to be fallible. He needs to be imperfect. He needs to be a human fucking being.
Every Star Wars fan has been saying how this is going to be the story of the Gray Jedi, and we have the elements here. We have the like dark side hole on
Never
the
heard
fucking
that before.
Jedi temple, and why is the dark side hole there on the Jedi temple?
Because it's balance.
Yeah,
It has to exist. Because if the
Exactly.
light exists, the dark has to exist.
That's my point. They never talk. Well, Luke doesn't talk about that, but it's there, which makes me think early in the script, maybe that's what it was. Maybe Luke was like, the Jedi can't exist because there has to be a light and a dark side balance, and the Jedi were all about just getting rid of the dark, which would have made sense to me if they had gone on that tangent. But they don't do that. He's just like, nope, no Jedi. And then is why? Because I feel bad about trying to kill my nephew. And even at the end, he's like, well, there's going to be more Jedi. And that's a good thing. And it's like, why is that a good thing? You said,
character development. He's
crazy.
He's changing as a person.
We
Like,
didn't
people
get-
don't stay the same forever.
We didn't get that. We didn't get character development, really.
Well, again,
other
like
than
his-
Yoda showing
his-
up and being like, come on, stop being a bitch.
His opinions and choices could be based on incorrect assumptions that he has. Because he's made the wrong choice. Emmitt, go ahead.
He did make the wrong choice, but he's an idiot for doing so. He's a goddamn Jedi Master.
But you gotta also realize, like, at the end of the day, he's still a man. And
By
it's like,
numbers.
he's still a man, and it's like, he really wasn't raised up with the traditional Jedi council and stuff.
He was raised up with like a super
He was raised
wise
up
at. He's
by
like
a
the
barbecue pit.
wisest Jedi that there is,
Yeah.
Master Yoda, and
Hey, even if you listen to Yoda is like, the way Yoda talks sometimes, it's like, he's not really just for a Jedi. He wants it to be balanced too, and when you listen to Yoda talk, he like,
well, in the
speaks
canon,
the
he actually
balance.
figures out. This is sort of a crazy thing. In the canon, I think it's how it goes this way. In the Clone Wars, he figures out in the cartoon episode, at the very end of it, he figures out everything that's going to happen. Which means in the Revenge of the Sith, the third prequel movie, he just lets it happen because he knows he has to, because that's how the balance is going to be brought to the Force.
Exactly.
Which means he's willing to let drastic shit go down
I
to
think- and
to
if-
let that happen. Which is an awesome character for Yoda, I think, for him to just be like, this just has to happen.
And I think like, in days, just like Tyler said, it's just a lot that ended up building up on Luke. You gotta think about his father was on the dark side, and now he probably tried to prevent it in his nephew. And it's basically like his first student and then his nephew, and then his nephew went to the dark side. So in days, all didn't build up on him. So it's like, okay, there's nothing I can do to stop this, so I shouldn't probably be involved at all. You know what I'm saying?
But that's crazy. He's the only person who is there to be involved.
Yeah, that's what
He's
it is.
literally letting his nephew run rampant on
And
a
don't
miss.
get me wrong, I feel like that
on
was
a-
really irresponsible of him. Like, he should have stepped in, because at the end of the day, it's like your sister was fighting in this war, and your nephew who was your student, so that technically make him your responsibility. So yeah, I feel like that was really irresponsible of Luke not to like start acting. I wish like if they would have had Luke off somewhere like that, I wish he would have been doing something more important.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's literally doing nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean that's the point though. It's like it's
And
him being selfish.
I understand
like it's
that
him being a
well,
human
he's being
being
depressed.
instead of a selfless
He's
Jedi master.
He's being a depressed old man, and I accept that. I'm just saying it's not what I wanted from Luke. I wanted Luke to be a badass and to be like, "Oh, I see what went wrong here, or I see what's going on in the wider galaxy. I understand that the Sith are going to rise because the Jedi are rising. I understand that, and I'm going to try and do something about it, or work some type of magical way, try and figure something out, or do something." But he doesn't do that. He just fucking shuts down.
Well, I'm sorry.
Why is Luke such a bitch?
I'm sorry you had to go through that, Jared.
God damn it! Why?
It's your own personal trauma.
So just to sum up this movie as a whole real quick, and this is one of the most infuriating and exciting movies at the same time. And as you see here with Tyler and Jared going back and forth, this movie is like, that's what I was trying to say. There's one part, man, it's like one guy's going to love or really like, and then the other guy's going to really fucking hate it. And as you just saw for the last 15 minutes of this conversation,
Hasn't been that long.
the case in point. I agree with both of them on the Luke subject. I was very like, oh, I like kind of how they took him where he changes as a human, because people change, you know, like he's still like Emmitt was saying, he's still a human, man. He's still fallible, you know, so he could change as a person. And so I kind of liked how they took him and made him more alone, you know, self-loathing and dark or whatever. And, you know, a little bit of a bitchy person. But at the same time, I really was coming in and really kind of wish it did go the way Jerry was saying, where he was much more of a powerful, doing the right thing kind of figure, because it kind of fits more with his earlier lifestyle character choices.
True.
Just to kind of get us where we're going, you know, kind of a little bit of a plot thing. Since we just talked a lot of shit about Luke, maybe something a little lighter on that. So we kind of start the movie off, and this whole movie takes place as like essentially like an 18-hour like run from the fucking bad guys kind of
It's
thing.
very Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
In that it's like a ship chase, essentially.
Yeah, so what did y'all think on the overall plot of the movie?
Overall plot.
I did think it was just weird that like the majority of it was them going, here we go. Oh shit, we gotta go. We failed. We gotta run away now. And then it's like, nope, got another plan. Nope, failed. Gotta run away now. And then that was pretty much it. Like that's
not a lot goes. Well, that's not true. A lot goes down in that. Basically, the entire what's left of the rebellion is destroyed, except for that like last group, and then maybe what's left of the First Order. I mean, I guess it sounds like there are legions off in other places that we don't see, but what's there anyways gets pretty fucked up by the end.
Well, from the way they talk about it, when Poe was talking about it, where he's like, you know, if we take out a dreadnought class, like that's a severe hit to them. So I'm guessing they don't have that many, and they took out 2 of them,
right?
And
yeah,
the main lead ship.
Yeah, they did. They took out Snoke ship, right?
Yeah,
so,
his was like the second dreadnought class.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, they definitely did a hit to him. But I don't really know if it is like, oh, First Order is now back to very low, and also the Rebellion is back to low. That's a pretty interesting development, but it also just kind of cancels each other out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And nothing really happens in this other than the chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of one thing I did really like. And this isn't to that, but just one the little tidbit I liked I wrote down, just since we're kind of at the beginning, this kind of happens at the beginning of the movie. It's like when you're so it starts off literally where the last one left off, and the First Order's here, or coming here to get the rebels, and the rebels are leaving. I love how when they're leaving from the ground that you can see the ships. Like you saw like they're there, they
like
see the
line.
big shit up, and then when the new, like the dreadnought show up and the shit like that, it's like, and you see
And
the
they
extra
just
shit
show
from
up.
the land.
Yeah, that's always cool when they do that.
So, which brings me into one really big thing so overall with Rian Johnson and him doing this film, came into it hoping it was going to be really good. I really enjoyed it, but there was some like really questionable things with Rian Johnson. I was telling Jared, I kind of compare Rian Johnson to,
Zack Snyder
of DC, where he's really good at doing these really cool visuals, which is what I kind of want to get into next. But he has a lot of plot holes in his stories, you know, as we've seen with DC and Watchmen and things like that. So getting into the one good thing I think Rian Johnson does really well, which is the same thing Zack Snyder does, which is what'd you think of like the artisticness of the movie and things like for instance, like when she flies the fucking or hyper jumps the fucking
that looks
spaceship
awesome.
and
That
then it
was
hits all
amazing.
like those kind of things. Fucking, that's one thing he
thought that
does
was beautiful.
so
I thought it
good.
was really
I don't
beautiful.
really understand how that works.
Basically,
but the visuals
from
of
what I got with it is that like the ship moves into hyperspeed, And then if it touches fucking anything, like it just disintegrates.
That's the thing about
and then that's all the particles and everything hitting those other ships. It just
okay.
slices
I
them in
always
fucking
assumed
half.
that
Yeah,
because like I've always thought like if you go into hyperspace, then it's like doesn't matter what you go through. Like essentially, because like aren't there times when they're about to run into like a meteor field and then they go into hyperspace and they just go through it?
Not Star Wars.
Okay.
It's them moving so fast that you just can't see them no more, but they're still going in that same direction. They
Right.
just move so fast that you can't see them. So I thought that was like really cool how she just shot through all of them like that with that.
That's why they always have to like calculate their vectors. And
Right,
everything
so they make sure they
there's
don't fucking run into anything. That's cool.
But
It looks tight.
Oh,
as fuck,
the
though.
Yeah.
fucking like the red
Although that's
salt
at the
shit
end.
underneath. Like
That's a good point. I was
thought
actually
that was
going to
really
say
cool,
I was
because it's just like blood. But nobody
initially
died.
when seeing those things in the trailer, I thought, oh, that's cool. They're gonna like smoke screen and a fight, which didn't happen, which kind of sucks because that's a cool idea. But the visuals of that fight in general, like when everything goes down at the end of that fight, and you're just looking at like Luke walking out or whatever, and he's walking out, and they have the wide shot of all the like blood red. It's like the fucking wall is bleeding. That's what
Yeah.
it looks like. It's really cool.
And I always like scenes like that with like the Jedi and stuff when they walk out of situations like that because it actually makes them look like they're like Sith Lords. Because then like when Luke walked out, he looked like he was evil and he was dressed in all black and he was walking out with the flames behind him and the ground was like red and stuff. It makes him look like he's like an evil guy, but he's not. He's like the good guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was coming out badass and
Yeah,
shit. Like,
that's the thing.
let's go, baby.
Exactly.
I'm here.
That scene was pretty
That's
great.
Punisher
I love
drag from, you know.
Y'all were making a big deal of that. He does it like one time in the whole series.
Fuck
Yeah, he does
that.
only do it like once.
He does it way more than
I
once.
think he does it one
like
time.
twice at least.
Anyways, so we were gonna go scene by scene or just talk about what?
I think overall kind of thing. I'm gonna throw some shit at y'all. Like, we'll talk about Leia and things like that, which could be a thing we can go into right now. What do y'all think about Leia, man, and her little come back to life kind of situation?
No, looking at me. I think it's cool, but here's the thing: why is she in space unconscious and then she does it? Like you brought this up to me. It's sort of weird that wouldn't she be dead if she's already
she
unconscious?
could have,
in space?
like protected herself with the Force,
Like,
but then
unconsciously,
got,
yeah.
got unconscious
But-
and like kept it around.
That would have been nice if they would have shown something about that. Maybe
why?
they just show all the particles like in a bubble around her to show that something's going on. That would have been cool. Or maybe like you were saying, what if as soon as it happens, she just like cuts off? She just
Yeah. So yeah, what I was saying was
holds
like,
in the air essentially or something.
yeah, what I was saying was, so this is the kind of thing where I'm talking about like, I was saying earlier, it might not have been on mic, but there was a lot of these scenes where like, it seemed like he was trying to do like some sort of visual thing, like with this scene with Leia. Could have been done way better. Like I was saying, I was going to have a lot of reshoots from like, if I was coming in as director, I'd be like, okay, this one I have to reshoot this way. And this is one of those scenes where like, that just like, she was dead. If you're out there in the fucking
Right,
space,
unconscious in
frozen,
space.
unconscious, you're dead.
No, I mean it definitely takes a while to die in space. Like it takes several minutes. No, like it literally takes several minutes. Like you can read it. It's a factual.
Okay, even if it
thing.
is a fact, she's still unconscious though, and frozen, seemingly through and through. Like her skin literally has ice crystals on it and shit.
Well, on the outside doesn't mean she's frozen all the way through.
And also,
She's not a turkey that we're trying to heat up here.
No,
And
she's
all
a human
about-
being that's
and all-
warmer than a turkey.
and even though she was probably unconscious, that doesn't mean she still can't sense the Force.
Yeah.
So she probably was still like sensitive to the Force and just pulled herself to the ship because that's where she sensed everybody else were.
Yeah. Well, so even if you're right about that, most people are kind of like, what the fuck about that scene? And for good reason, just because it is kind of like what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any kind of sense.
Well, it's one of those things that brings you out of it because you're like,
Yeah.
wait, can that happen?
Yeah. So what I was saying they should have done was, because this whole time I've personally believed that Leia's one, we already know she's strong in the Force, but I've also personally believed that at her age now that she would have been trained to some degree in the Force. You know what I mean? Like I think she would have, I don't think you have that kind of ability and you don't spend any time training with it. You don't go, oh, I have the ability to use telekinetic powers and be like, oh, but I'm never going to use them. Like, you're going to do some sort of training in them. And so I was feeling like maybe she should have just like, boom, it hits, fire, air sucking out, and she just like, boom, throws it, like catches, uses the Force to like essentially like catch the air or put like a force field up kind of thing, and catches it, and then she's struggling, she's holding it. Admiral Akbar, which, wow, what a way to go for him. He's been here since the fucking beginning. He doesn't even get anything. But anyways.
I know, they don't even mention his name.
They mentioned it once, right after, like,
Yeah, like
he's
Admiral
the one
Akbar
guy
said,
that, like,
bye.
Do they?
Admiral
Oh,
Akbar.
okay, yeah.
and then everyone else died. But anyways, so she could have been like holding it. He runs into safety maybe and a few others, and then she like comes in and then cuts it off and then just collapses from just kind of how like Luke collapsed at the end from the pressure of having to do so much force use. And then she collapsed. I think if you would have done it that way, it looks a lot better. It explains the things a lot more, and it still shows that Leia was obviously able to use the Force. So that's kind of like my 2 cents on it.
Ultimately, though, it's a cool looking scene that, whether or not you think it's realistic or acceptable.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point, is that, like, it's kind of just people, like, refusing to continue to suspend their disbelief. It's like, oh yeah, no, okay, Force, fine. The Force, that's real.
You have to, like, make an effort,
But
though.
she can't do that with it. She can't do that with that make-believe thing.
You have to make it. There's always a line.
No.
I mean, but it's
There's a line you have to toe that if you cross that line, and for a lot of people, maybe like Leia floating in space, seemingly dead, and then coming back to life, is crossing that line.
I mean, but if you look at it, sense like, okay, they're able to lift people up with the Force and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like a certain weight. But what if it's something like too heavy and they try and pull it with the Force? Wouldn't they just bring themselves closer to it? You get what I'm saying?
Arguably.
So since
well, I don't know, because I don't know if they're the anchor point for when they're lifting something. So I don't know if that's how that works.
Mistborn.
Well, it's like people have like been gliding around and like propelling themselves through the air with the Force. It's
now
like
that doesn't bother me.
Of fucking Star Wars, but there's no gravity, so it should be easier.
That's what I'm saying.
To move around.
That's my point. Like, I don't think anyone has a problem with that. She's flying through space. I think the problem is that she's like unconscious in space and then comes back alive and then just starts doing it.
Well, they never say that she's like
it makes sense.
What if like she's in just a deep meditative state? Like that's how she's doing this.
Right.
Like you said earlier before, when Rey was moving the rocks at the end, you would have preferred for her to have been like in a meditation stance or like actually focusing. Like the deepest form of focusing and meditation would literally be like similar to in a coma.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You might be right, but at the point that Josh was making at the very end was it doesn't matter. All that matters in that split second, does it take you out? Do you break that line?
I was fine with that scene until I saw Josh turn around and stare at me and watch me. At that point, I was like, okay, now I feel weird.
So in the theater,
I feel like I'm supposed to react.
In the theater, multiple times, because obviously I had already seen it, and so multiple times I just turned around and looked at Tyler's face just to see how he would react to things. And I also did it to other people too. It wasn't just Tyler. Like I turned around and looked at all the rest of the people. One thing that's really crazy is everyone was so fucking glued to the TV or to the screen. So at least that's kind of good for them. Like when I looked over to my left and just see all these people, like nobody was like looking around or shit. They were all just 100% on the, just me.
Yeah, just him.
I thought about getting up at the end and just being like, who's here for the second or third time? Just yelling out to see who.
Don't ever do that.
Please don't.
Don't ever speak to a crowd.
I didn't, motherfuckers. Chill.
I know. We really appreciate it. Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah, this crowd was more focused than our last. Our last one was like focused, but they were. I think it was because that weird thing that happened when we went the first day. We got there a little bit early, and they were playing the commercials, and then the movie started at like 7:15. It was supposed to start at like 7:30, and so they had to stop it and then redo it. And so everybody in our crowd was like talking and making jokes about that. And so when the movie came around, everybody was in a pretty good mood and just like a jokey mood. Everybody laughed at like every single joke and everything. Like it was a really good crowd. And this one didn't seem to laugh as much or be into it in that way, but they were really focused.
I wonder if there was a lot more people in there for like the second or third time, and that's why.
Yeah,
it's been out for how many days now?
I don't know, what, a week? But
like a weekish.
So yeah,
I know a lot of the jokes that I mean, first time I thought it was hilarious. Well, I thought it was pretty funny. I probably got by every joke, but this time I was just like, yeah, he's gonna throw the lightsaber over his shoulder. Yeah, he's gonna.
That's one of those where I looked at Tyler and was like, and Tyler Barry was like, huh.
Sorry,
I was like, that was one of the good ass jokes.
I'm sorry you had to put up with that. That's so that Josh is like.
Well, see, that's the thing is the second
you.
He'd turn around, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah,
I don't want to give him the satisfaction.
I was trying my best not to like look at anyone because I didn't want to give him that feeling.
I didn't think he could actually see me, bro. Because like, I mean, he was sitting there.
Of course.
Well, I mean, the screen was to my left, so I was literally staring at you and the screen, and you'd just be like, eh, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Please stop.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy when he threw the lightsaber over his shoulder.
That shit was hilarious.
Like, and then it's so funny because at the end of the last movie, it made it look so epic. Like, oh, he's gonna take the lightsaber.
Such a big deal.
He's
gonna take the lightsaber, turn it on, and be some epic shit, and then he just throws it over. Like, do you know how much trouble I went through to get there?
That was one of the best actual jokes of the fucking movie. Like, didn't even have to say anything. He just like looks at it and it's just like, poop,
By the
tosses
way,
over his
and
fucking
walks
people
past her.
who are mad at Luke for drinking milk out of the alien's tits, like, come on. Like, who cares?
How different
Come on,
is
it's
that
Star
from
Wars. Come
drinking
on.
from cows?
Like, get out of here.
Let's
Is
be
that
honest.
is that
Exactly.
really bothering you that much?
Like,
It's
do
because
you-
it sits next to the ocean and isn't
Like-
covered in fur.
Like, do you see who their
can't drink
coworkers
its
are?
tit
Like,
milk.
come on. Do you see who their coworkers are?
I love that shit. Did you
I
ever-
love the new tiny fucker. The little
The porgs?
screamy shits.
The porgs?
Yeah, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Oh, that
those.
was hilarious.
the
When he was like,
Borgs were
shit.
great because they weren't in it a ton. They were just there to be like,
They were there when they were like there.
yeah, they
Like,
were
when
only
they would be
there when
around.
it made sense for them to
Yeah.
be there. really.
Until they
Until-
pop up later on, and you're
And
like,
you're like, why
this
did
makes
they
sense.
bring
Why
them?
didn't I think about this? Well, how could they have gotten rid of them?
And it's,
I-
like, and it's also
I
like they had nested into the
Yeah.
ship and stuff like that. So
I
it was
didn't
like,
have an issue with the Porgs. A lot of people are like, "Oh, they're just trying to sell
It's because
toys."
they're trying to sell toys, but
And
Which
I
they
buy
are.
one.
But
Yeah.
they didn't they weren't crazy in the plot. I did have a problem with like the last time the Porg screamed, I was like, all right, you've screamed like 3 times now, relax. But at the same time,
Pretty sure that's just all they do.
the first time I saw it, that was my thought process. On the third scream, I was like, all right, Porg, you've screamed and did the Yeti scream like 3 times now, relax. The second time watching, however, that was the funniest one for me because like I was just so focused on it, I guess. I don't know. Like when he did it again, like I was like, it almost went to the point where like when you say something too many times, it becomes funnier than
doesn't even
Yeah.
make any fucking sense anymore.
So it was like the funniest.
I'm
scream
just
for
glad
me.
that they weren't sentient. They weren't just like dark side beings. That's what I was like hoping.
What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ! I'm just glad the Porgs weren't dark side beings.
I just thought it was like when I saw all the hype going in, and then everybody was like, "Yo, there's some crazy stuff." I read the script. I was like, "What if the Porgs are like gonna
Sith Lords.
are like Sith Lords
Snoke is
or
Porgs.
something?"
Snoke is a mature porg.
It's a mature porg. I
fucking
was like,
Chewbacca, when he's like driving, he just starts to choke and then just pans down.
that was
choking.
that was just like a theory in the back of my mind. And I was just like, "Please don't be."
Oh, I love that part though, when like Kylo turned around and just he's like, "Cause what's his name, Hux?
Yeah.
Hux being the dumbass that he is. What the fuck are you gonna do? What are you gonna do,
Guy
Mr.
with
Sith Lord?"
superpower. Yeah.
And that has always got me about the Star Wars movie. These guys are talking shit to them like they can't beat their ass.
Well, they didn't do that to Darth
Okay.
Vader.
They did do that. They
Darth
did try
Vader
the part
did
that I
They did
disliked.
Vader.
They did
I
the
found the part
Vader
that I
sometimes.
disliked. A part that I genuinely actually disliked was Poe talking to Hux, like on the communication. He's like, "All right, I'll hold for Hux." You don't put people on hold.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars. That doesn't exist there. You don't have like telecommunication
I
lines.
saw someone else say that, and yeah, I agree with you.
Look, it
Like,
doesn't
that's
make any
not. That's
sense.
like that's a our generation kind of joke.
They put
You know
like
what I mean?
like a modern day cell phone joke into the Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
that
wait
was
a minute.
weird. That was just weird. I didn't hate it. Like, it didn't seem terrible. It was funny. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like him talking shit to him made sense, but not that way.
Back into a different or a new character we just kind of touched on, but what y'all think of General Hux, man? Like his kind of overacting and all that kind of.
I love Hux.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know Hux from the books, and in the books, he's like all he's mentioned as is, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's like a 10-year-old in the books.
We're not going to read him, Jared.
I know, but somebody here might. I don't know. And basically, he's introduced when he's like a 10-year-old, and he's given a lot of power, essentially, and he's like a abused 10-year-old too, who's given like a lot of power, and just like immediately is like, you punch that kid in the face, like as soon as he's given the power. So I love the fact that he's grown up to be this like super loyal, and he's pissed off whenever his troopers are messed up, because that's like his identity, is his ability to raise these troopers up. And then it's funny that he goes, Kylo Ren, like, you're not the Supreme Leader, our Supreme Leader is dead. But I think that's in line with his character, because he's always had a guy who's like a good leader go, you follow me. And he's like, yep, I follow you. So I think it makes sense that he's not cool with Snoke being dead.
Yeah, I love General Hux. Like some people are like upset with his like overacting this kind of thing he does. I fucking love it, man.
Yeah, I thought
He's
it fit
so
pretty well.
I don't even know how to describe it, but I love it. He's got that Hitler-esque to him.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
No, that's
And I
definitely
just
what
like
it
this,
is.
I like this character too, and it's just like he just reminds me of the other generals from like the older Star Wars movies. The way he just tries to talk to like Kylo and stuff, like, cause at the end of the day, all talk to the Sith Lords like they're nothing, but it's like they're the strongest ones on the ship. So why would you talk to these people like that?
Yeah.
Well, see, now the thing with Vader, and you're not wrong, like, he does question him. He's like, Vader, your sorcerer's ways have not done this. And it's like, dude, that's like the like the executor for the Emperor. What are you doing?
Exactly.
He can kill anyone on this ship, and nobody can say anything to him.
And
But at the same time, everybody in that room was like a higher up guy in the Empire, and they technically outrank Vader. Like Vader he's basically like an assassin. He's an enforcer.
Yeah.
For Palpatine. So technically, they can kind of like they can't really tell him what to do, but he's not in the ranking structure. So they like outrank him in a way.
But it's like the way they talk. They talk to him like
as if
like
he can't murder them.
Like
instantly.
they don't like the Force isn't real. Like it's just some sorcery thing. But it's like when he's able to choke y'all from like 15 feet away. What is that?
Yeah,
it's not the Force.
It's
you know
true.
What I'm saying?
It's true. I mean, and you're right. The only thing I can say is the lore thing is that Palpatine basically underplays the whole Force thing, and he's like, Jedi were bad, and they're Sith. There's no such thing. Don't worry about it. And everybody just assumes that Vader is like a badass machine, and that's why he's so cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy is like literally in canon, he's like flying through space and like jumping into ships and just taking everybody out. Like, what do you think that is? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't. It's
Like-
crazy. There's
like-
a disconnect there.
Like in Rogue One, I feel like is literally the best representation of Darth Vader.
The visual representation of him in Rogue One is my
Through the
favorite
mist
thing of
with
him.
the saber lighting up.
He just walks through a room of people, and it's like,
They're
yeah,
dead.
that's what I do. I don't, no fucks to give. Nobody can stop me.
So we got some new characters in this new movie. We got Commander Holda, whatever.
It was
Holdo kinda
Vice
sucked.
Admiral Holdo.
Holdo, yeah.
hot
We got. She was like, what? She had this weird, like, old hotness to her.
It wasn't weird. It was just great.
What's her name?
It's just like, please
Lord,
tell me what to do.
Laura Dern.
It's Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura Dern.
And then DJ, Benicio del Toro. And his cool stutter.
Yeah.
I thought
anyways.
DJ's stutter was silly, but then again,
It's
here's
Star
what I
Wars.
thought about it. Yeah. Here's what kind of bothered me about it. Rogue One, Forrest Whitaker came in doing Saw Gerrera with this like crazy voice, and I loved it. But now I'm like, wait, is every like serious actor that comes in just gonna be like, I'm gonna do a crazy voice, just like Forrest Whitaker did?
Well, I mean, like 99%
What are
of the
you
other
doing?
characters, including the aliens, talk like regular English. So, I mean,
Yeah, they talk
it's
basic.
okay for somebody to have a weird voice every now and then.
So what you're saying is you're okay with the prequels fish people.
The
Jar Jar Binks?
Gungans?
No, the Asian fish people.
Oh, the Nemodians.
The Gungans?
No. The
What are we
banking
going
clan.
to do?
Yeah. The end of the legend stop. No,
You know,
dude,
them the stereotypically over the top
sound,
racist.
They sound pretty just as bad as like what was his name?
they're all racist.
Yeah, what was his name? The dirty, like cheap.
Jar Jar Binks? I mean,
No.
The blue fairy guy.
Yeah, the guy, he's immune to the force power, like to
That was pretty.
mind powers.
Oh,
his is pretty fucked up too.
I know.
Yeah, his is like a Middle Eastern salesman or something. He's like really.
It's like a.
So we discovered that Star Wars is racist.
Oh no,
that guy's anti-Semitic, and then the other ones are. I don't know if Asian people have a specific racism thing. It's just racist.
Anyway, so you really like DJ.
I thought he was cool. I liked him because he's like
I didn't
a
hate
master
DJ.
of fucking lockpick, and he works for cash.
Here's the thing: why is he sitting in that jail?
Because he got put in jail.
and
Did you
he
not
just-
see all the shit that he breaks into all the time?
He's just like chilling in the same jail at the time that they exactly need him.
No, he could
Well,
leave
that's just
whenever he wanted to.
happenstance.
What if he was like, actually, some dude named Luke Skywalker told me I needed to chill in here.
He
That
didn't
could've
say
been
that.
dope.
He didn't say that, so it doesn't matter.
But what
That's
if he
true,
It's
but
not
it could've
actually
been
part
dope.
of the story
Okay,
that
okay.
actually happened, so
just saying it would've
it
been
doesn't matter.
Cool.
When Josh and Jared rewrite the script.
You know what else would have been cool, Jared? If I still had those three bitcoins, but I don't.
Oh yeah, you
So
got
it
rid
doesn't-
of him.
so it doesn't matter.
Now you don't.
Yeah,
it
you
does
don't
not
have.
matter.
All that
For
money.
me, I thought he was fine. He was cool. He didn't really get much of a part in reality. Like, it didn't last long. I think he'll be back in the next one. I think he'll be actually become like a new big part of.
I hope he
It
does.
looks like that's what you're trying to say.
I feel like his biggest significance in here, other than like him helping them break into the ship and setting them up, was him explaining like who he sells his weapons to, how he showed feeling like I sell my weapons to the bad guys, and then he showed them a picture of a
well,
hologram
that was
of
somebody's
Starfire.
ship that they stole.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So But yeah,
Yeah,
same
but
point.
yeah, he's basically I sell it to the bad guys and I sell it to the good guys. So like this is all of the same coin. It's like it's no good or bad. It's just machinery.
This is all war.
Exactly. It's just about how you use it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I like him. I think he'll be back in the next movie.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I think he'll become part of the rebellion.
I heard before this movie that Benicio del Toro's character was going to be named Sir Vikram Fett, as in like related to Boba Fett. So I don't know if that was like just like, ha, I got you. That was not actually what it was, or if maybe later on we're going to figure out that he's like the son of Boba Fett or something.
Well, his name's DJ, so
Yeah, but that
Who
could
knows?
just be like anything.
Dude, what if in the Harrison Ford movie? Never mind.
the prequel?
Han Solo.
The Han Solo movie. I was going to say maybe like
Harrison Ford movie?
he'll be like a kid in
with
there.
zero Harrison Ford in it.
Anyways,
It's Harrison Ford played by.
so moving on to the next little character we got was Rose, who was cool. Just before we kind of get to her, I did want to mention one thing. A lot in this movie, I told these guys while we were eating some food, there's a lot of this kind of stuff that happens in this movie, so I just kind of want to mention where it's like shit happens and they like over dramatize the movie. And so just because we're about to go on to Rose, we'll talk about Rose is this new character who's like a engineer or something. Her sister is one of the bomber pilots who die in the beginning of the movie, and her sister's the one who like drops the bomb that kills
The first Dreadnought.
the first dreadnought. And they do this scene where she's laying on her back, the trigger for the bomb or whatever is up top, and she's like kicking it down or whatever. And I'm okay with all that part, even though they never show why the guy up top is knocked the fuck out.
I thought the same thing. I was like, wait, why is he dead?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Anyways, so she knocks the thing down, it's falling down, and instead of just being like, all right, oh yeah, it falls down and it lands on her and then she hits the trigger, or Emmitt said earlier, maybe it falls through and then she, jumps after it or something and hits it. I'm okay with that too, but it has a scene where like the trigger falls by her. She's on her back, laying on her back. The trigger falls by her and then all of a sudden the next scene somehow she's grabbed it before it falls free of the ship. Where it's like, just those scenes where they just don't really click. They don't make sense. Like, you didn't need to over dramatize that whole little scene. Like, it was already dramatic enough. She's fucking sacrificing her life for a fucking cause.
Like it would have even been cool if, like, say, it would have just fell all the way through and she would have just jumped out of the ship after it, and then she would have just died while pressing the button. That would have even been cool. But it's like, the way it has, like, there's no in hell that she would have, like, stayed laying down right there and still would have caught it. Cause it went really far past her.
Yeah, it was like all the way past her, and somehow she turned over and grabbed it. Like it was almost like she teleported. Like, it was ridiculous.
Teleport from her back.
And there's a lot of these little situations. Another one we'll mention real quick, since we're about to kind of get into this whole storyline anyways, was when Finn, when the purple haired lady did her cool ass scene where she
Hold it.
Yeah, she hyper jumped. I can't speak, but she did her little hyper jump into the other ships, which again looked fantastic. I love the art kind of design with that. And Finn and Rose were about to get fucking executed or whatever. And then, okay, so in scene, ships blowing up and shit, but like it's under chaos or whatever. You come back to Rose pulling Finn and like, oh, get up, Finn, we need to go kind of situation. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, so nobody else, who were all these soldiers and shit, were standing around them. Shit happens. None of the soldiers, nobody's around, nothing. You just see fire around. And then fucking Phasma and like 20 goddamn soldiers start walking through the flames. These people, Phasma was 2 feet from him when this happened.
I noticed that too. I'm not gonna know that.
Where did they go?
Yeah. They just like got knocked into the other side of the ship and like walked back.
But at their defense, like, you don't know what really happened because, what was her name? The commander with the purple hair. I keep forgetting her name. Holdo. Yeah, Holdo. You gotta realize, so you don't know how that really affected that ship because she hit it at light speed, and I ain't never seen something like movie wise get hit by something at light speed.
True.
So don't tell them they got flown all the way back to a wall or something, or if like Rosie, unless the engineer girl moved Finn from a different spot, because like you say, she was already dragging him, and so she probably like pulled them away from where they were already. Yeah,
I mean, you could have, but it was just another one of those scenes that kind of took me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I kind of know that too. Like, she was just walking from somewhere with all stormtroopers behind her. Joshua, the director, coming in, why not just have them both getting up, or maybe Rose trying to pull him away or something like that, and then Phasma and a couple soldiers are getting up off the ground. Yeah. And then they're like, no, stay there. They got the guns, Bam. There you go. You didn't have to make it look retarded. Just fucking take people out of the fucking movie. Rian Johnson, you're great.
at doing some artistic scenes, but you are a fucking awful director.
I didn't really
I just
notice
put it
any
through.
of that.
Well, Tyler, you were asleep during the movie. Remember?
Oh,
you
really?
told us
Yeah.
that?
How long was I asleep? How long was it I was
He
asleep?
said 10 minutes.
I said 2 minutes, and then I referenced the beginning, the end of the last thing I saw in the beginning when I saw it. You were like, "Oh, that was like 2 seconds."
Jared said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However,
So I blinked really long,
I'm
and
not-
then I continued.
I'm not a
watching the movie.
scientist, but I am an
Well,
awesome
we're
person.
aware.
I'm not a scientist, which
but
you're aware of,
however-
but I am an amazing person. I love you. But I'm just going to go ahead and say if you were asleep, that maybe you were like in some sort of like dream-like visual state.
No,
Like,
I just
maybe
got,
you were
I just
watching the
got
movie.
real fucking high.
Well, case in point, I didn't want to
I was
mention.
sleepy.
I didn't want to mention that.
I smoke mad weed, dog.
So on that note,
Hey, it's
maybe
easy.
you're missing
Smoke
some
mad,
of the things.
mad weed, and you will love this movie.
There you go.
It was pretty good.
But
I would
anyways,
preferred to have done it in the parking lot beforehand, but
Right.
You know,
true, but you know,
I didn't want to cramp you guys' style or your livelihoods.
Anyways, my little tidbits out the way. Let's talk about Rose and Finn and their storyline.
I didn't really see that coming. Like, it was kind of just random.
You talking about the
The
love
quick-
interest, or are you
quick
talking
little,
about
like? Well, I mean, it's
the
a kiss.
journey?
It was like a fucking little kiss. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, that's enough
I
for a
wouldn't.
love interest.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't really say that that's enough for a love.
I
Interest.
know it was a weird, like it wasn't like a passionate
It's
kiss.
like, middle of the moment.
It wasn't-
like, just kind of do it to do it thing. Because she's like always looking at him like when they first meet, and she's like, "You're a hero," and he's like, "I'm really not." Like,
He's not.
Yeah,
do
okay, yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, now that you said it like that, it sound makes no sense, because it did kind of catch me off guard when she kissed him, but like, since she did look at him like as a hero figure, like, I can see her like kissing him, like,
I felt it was more like, we're both here, we both did this.
yeah.
That was fun. Let's go.
I mean, that's probably a good way to look at it. I think they were trying to establish a romantic. I can't talk either.
I mean,
A romantic interest, but I don't think it really like added up.
I wouldn't be surprised
Because
if they
I agree.
did try to establish it with that, but that's not what I got from it.
And
so either they did a really shitty job, or it's going to be a really shitty
You
love
guys-
interest.
Yeah, that's what I was
and I also
thinking. It was just going to be a
felt that, too,
shitty
because-
love interest,
At the end, when Ray was like looking at him and how he was just standing over, and it was like,
protecting Rose.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she also just saved him,
Yeah, true.
and she got fucked up doing it.
Saved him, but at the same time, he should have done it and died and been a hero.
But I mean, all they did was shoot
my
like
personal-
a little hole.
Finn's my least favorite character in this new Star Wars.
movie.
Well, no, like from of all the new characters introduced since The Force Awakens and this movie, and he's my least favorite. He's like just not an interesting character for me to follow.
I mean, he's
his
like the new
character is
Solo.
like a coward.
So's Han Solo.
Yeah, but well, not really. Han
Yeah,
Solo's
really,
not.
literally.
He's not like a
he does-
coward. He's just like
He runs away.
he's a scoundrel. Like
yeah.
Like-
Scoundrels are cowards.
He's-
That's why they're scoundrels.
he's like a scoundrel.
That's why
who
they
had-
cheat and
but
steal.
The difference is
They
like
don't want to do things the hard way.
got you
They
there,
might
Jared.
die.
the difference is that Han Solo doesn't have like a fight in this. He's like a scoundrel who gets
Yeah, because
pulled
he's
into
dead
it.
in this movie.
Yeah,
I'm just fucking.
yeah, I
with you now.
know. I'm trying to explain it anyways.
You
But
kept me up too late.
Finn, on the other hand, literally escapes from this place, and he's all like the only thing he knows is about how horrible the First Order is.
Also, through this whole movie, Finn he nuts the fuck up. Like
That's
the entire character development
Well,
in
he
this movie is
kinda
him
does.
getting tougher and him wanting to be more serious about it. And he's always
He's about
been
to
able
leave
to take things seriously.
He's been able to. That's why I wanted him to die, because he was about to like basically prove himself not a coward for once. Like he was about to risk or sacrifice his life to stop this thing.
Yeah, and he made that choice, and then somebody
And then
saved
Rose
him
was like,
because
"Oh, no."
he was making a choice like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm just saying-
you don't destroy the things you hate; you save the things you protect.
I
the
would have
things you
been
love.
really
Like,
happy.
that's the main.
I'm not really happy. I would have been happy if that was how he went out. That would have been a good send off for his character. Him making the decision
Nah,
to be a man.
nah.
I agree with both of you, actually. I
Way to take the.
kill off a
completely,
main character
I
at all.
completely agree with you, Jared. Not in the fact that I love Finn. He's actually one of my favorite characters. I love how he's always joking and shit like that. But and I love the actor, super awesome. Was it Boyega?
John Boyega. My Boyega.
I love John Boyega.
Yeah,
It's my
super
boy.
awesome. But I really liked at the end how he was like, "Fuck this. Like, I love just like the face, like his look, the look on his face where he was like, fuck this, fuck that. I'm
Fuck
taking
your
this
orders.
shit the fuck out. Hell yeah. But I didn't like how maybe he was going to sacrifice himself. I kind of was hoping more along the lines of maybe there was like, I mean, it's a
gun,
spaceship or something, you know,
or
like a gun.
laser to fire.
Or maybe like, it was like
I thought that was the plan.
like
to
Well,
be
it showed his gun being melted.
I didn't see it.
It showed it being melted by the Death Star heat, I guess. Which then again, if that's being melted, why is he not being melted?
Yeah, true. Sorry
But-
if I coughed. I'm a little
Why
sick.
can they hear each other in these open cockpit speeders
And I
that are going like
I
100
thought it
miles
was
an hour?
I thought it was cool. Like that, 'cause that's actually him like doing something else for like something for the rebellion, like for the resistance, and something not for Rey. You get what I'm saying? Because he was doing that for them, like to
Yeah,
help the
agreed.
resistance. Because he wasn't doing that for Rey. Because even when he wanted to go on the ship and
Get on the
disassemble
escape ship.
yeah,
He was
disassemble.
doing it because he didn't want Rey to come to like the doomed ship.
And even when he wanted to go to the ship and disassemble the tracker, he did that because he didn't want Rey to come back to the ship, and they've already attacked the ship.
Right.
But that's the only thing he actually did that was actually for the resistance. He was trying to do that to stop them from breaking through the door and killing everybody in there.
Right,
It wasn't.
right.
It had nothing to do with
It was
Rey.
a heroic moment, to be
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's the majority of the series. Finn just gives a shit about Rey because that's his friend, and he just wants to protect her. So he goes along with the Resistance because she's going with them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in this movie is him being like, "All right, I give a shit about the Resistance now, and not just Rey."
Yeah.
Which kind of actually is very similar to 4 and 5 with Han Solo, actually. Because initially he's not for the Resistance
Yeah.
either
He
until
just wants to get paid, and then he meets Leia and
and
Luke,
likes
and he
Leia.
wants to...
So
Yeah.
it's kind of very similar to that. It just clicked in me when I was thinking about it just now.
I
when we
agree.
were talking about it.
The difference between Han and Finn is that Han is like supposed to be the scoundrel who has nothing really to do with this. He's just pulled in, whereas Finn is at the center of it. I mean, he comes.
Well, yeah, Finn's the guy who shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Well, no, he
was
needs to
he
be.
was trapped in this for his entire life and forced to do it, and he finally gets away, and then he finally, like, not finally, but like he
anytime
does that,
someone gets
and then
away,
he
they
turns
devote
around
their
and
life.
He goes, you know what? No, I need to go back.
Anytime
in.
someone gets away from something, they devote the rest of their life to trying to make that right. It's just crazy to me that he's like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. It's not crazy. It just doesn't make for a very exciting character.
It's realistic.
I don't think it is.
No, I'm pretty sure it is. Like, there's definitely a lot of people would be like, no, I'm just at the point, like, I'm just
I think
done.
there's plenty
I
of
don't
people
fucking
who,
care.
at least
I
later
just
in
wanna
life,
get
are like,
away from it.
no, I'm not letting this happen to anyone else, or I'm not going to allow this to stand.
But yeah, when they're written as the hero.
I mean, but Luke did
I'm
that
talking
same
about real
thing
life
too.
people, not even characters.
Well, I mean, you know, people in real life, though, everyone's different.
Yeah.
And to my case in point of I've already said like 6 times now. God, y'all are making my case.
Which-
right now. With this movie, just everyone is so divisive about every little
But
issue.
that's my point. I don't disagree that this isn't realistic. That I don't think Finn wouldn't be that guy, or that guy wouldn't exist, rather. I'm just saying that's not an interesting character to follow for me. I would rather have a character who is not like being a punk about it.
I do see what Tyler's saying. I think in a sense that Finn is supposed to be somewhat like kind of the new Han Solo, in a sense, in a way, because he was wearing a jacket that looked like kind of like Han Solo, like
Yeah.
It was
so
Poe's jacket.
yeah, so it's like I think he is supposed to be kind of like the new Solo in a sense.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why they give him that. Like,
Yeah.
you need to run away from this because Han Solo ran away from it.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, I was just hoping that like at the end there he did go through with it, and then he just like, you know, maybe had like a little ejection button,
yeah.
ejects out or something like that, and still survives, but mans the fuck up, which I guess kind of is what happened.
Exactly.
I guess, you know, Rose just comes through and saves him, but
Because he realized, because at a certain point when he got close enough, he started to realize that he wasn't going to make it. That's why he closed his eyes and stuff. He realized that he wasn't going to die. He wasn't going to make it because he wasn't nowhere near it before it was about to shoot.
yeah, I wish Finn
And he
was
kept
a little
going
more
for it.
sensitive.
But that was actually one moment when you actually like seemed like just like serious.
how
Just
about
serious
when
about
he
it.
turns up with Rose like 5 minutes later at the Rebel base after going all the way out to the people? He somehow makes it all the way back.
Another one of those scenes.
And I was like, how
what?
did you get back? Did you like hook up some kind of contraction to drive or something that we didn't see?
Like y'all were flying out there on damn land spaceships over here, like 2 miles out, and somehow you walk back in 5 minutes.
and like none of the walkers were like, kill that guy over there.
He caught a ride with the Force, and
Yeah, he caught her out with the
we're gonna find out in the next movie. Finn has the Force and he can teleport.
Finn just said, "You can drop me off right here," and the Force left me there, and just went off.
Can I get a Force Uber? Yeah. So for me, I like Finn. Thoughts on Rose as a new character?
I thought she's a cool character.
Yeah,
Cool character.
She's all right.
I thought
she
she was
doesn't
all right.
offer that much to me, but she's cool.
Well, I liked when she like runs into Finn and she finally was like, "Oh, you're just a punk ass little bitch."
Stunned your ass. She comes to realize she's like, "Yo, you're not doing a good thing
You're trying to inspect it from the inside
with the packed
with
bag."
a packed bag, like all the other assholes. Oh man.
Yeah.
But she kept in a sense like that. I seen where she was coming from. Like, said, how you gonna run when my sister just died doing this for us? So it's like her character made sense from where she was coming from, how she was. So her character was perfect.
It's
How
always like where Finn was trying to like be like, "Oh, I need to protect Rey from this failure of a resistance," to like kind of the polar opposite of that with Rose being like, "Oh, well, my sister just died doing this, so I need to throw even more of myself into it, even though all I do is maintenance."
Right.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next kind of part, just real quick, a lot of people didn't like the Finn Rose story arc line, just in general. You know,
Going to the casino.
Going to the casino. What did y'all think about
Kanto
that?
bite, whatever.
A lot of people hated the Canto Bite thing, and I'm kind of one of them. It just seemed like
like
they
a
wrote the
detour.
story for everyone else, and then they were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do with Finn?" And then they're like, "Let's throw Rose in here, and let's have this stupid ass thing that doesn't come to any fruition.
It doesn't pan out.
Which I'm okay with.
I don't care that it doesn't pan out. I was
Yeah,
saying.
I'm okay with that because shit doesn't happen always. You don't
Sometimes
always
shit
succeed
don't
in
pan
real
out.
life.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. But just in general, like going there and then they have like this weird like, let's save the animals. Yeah. Kind of like scenario going on. I was like, well, okay.
Wait, which one?
when
Just,
they go to the
casino and then just like, let's save the animals.
they're like, these are the richest, most piece of shit 1%ers you've ever seen.
Oh, I mean, I don't think they were really talking about saving the animals. She was talking about she just wanted to burn shit down, and I definitely agree with that whenever I drive around a couple of neighborhoods around here.
I don't know. I don't
They
know about
seem
that, but
real fun to burn down.
Yeah.
Punch out those Ritz assholes in the face.
It's like
I definitely see what she was saying with that.
a lot of people think
It
it's
wasn't
like
some PETA shit.
it's a detour and it's like a bad pacing thing. Like it sort of interrupts the main story.
Yeah, the whole
anything,
thing,
I
like, I
think-
kind of get that.
And
But to me, I didn't really feel that way while watching it. So sorry.
It was entertaining.
yeah, I think it was supposed to show like the violence against like the kids and just show also the violence like how they were treating the animals and stuff. But overall with the whole animal scene, that was just like supposed to just be like to help them get away, like a big distraction and stuff.
yeah.
Because
Well,
they would have caught them if they would have ran out there with just one. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they would have ran out with all of them huge horse-like animals, it'd been harder to catch them. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, for me, it was just like, it seemed like such a side mission. And then one where they were just like going out of their way to be like, it didn't really make
They were
sense.
trying to get a moral in there. Is that,
Yeah, like they were like, we're in a Star Wars movie, and then it was like, it was almost like a fucking ad was playing for like, just different
But
sort
like
of
remember
issues.
that.
Yeah, like it's like we're in a Star
Here's
Wars
the
movie,
thing.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and here's this ad for let's save animals and stop child abuse, and
Yeah, but here's the thing.
all
We
this.
do get the idea. 'cause
which I mean, are bad. I'm not saying they're not bad, but it was just weird in the fucking movie.
But here's the thing. The entire time this is going on, all we see from both movies, all we really see is the First Order and the Rebellion. And we don't get, like, anything else. We don't see what's happening in the society, like, the anywhere else in the fucking galaxy. We don't know what's happening. So, it's nice that we get to see this place where, essentially, it's a bunch of people who are profiting off of the war. But at least it's like, oh, well, this isn't a part of that fucking conflict that's all we're allowed to see.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Cloud City. Like, we get to see what the politics of Cloud City are in that when that happens.
Yeah, which kind of brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. And the one kind of cool thing I did like from this, well, one, let's just say, I think the whole reason that scene was there anyways was one, they needed something for Finn Rose, and two, Ryan wanted to showcase the little boy because that's going to be his next fucking trilogy.
Oh, you think that could be it?
I think he's put that fucking scene with that little kid in the broom, like he's like, that's my next Anakin.
The little boy, the little boy who just like force pulls a
Yeah.
broom to him.
But anyways, what I was trying to get to the point of getting on
Yeah.
to the next thing
You missed it.
was that,
just picked it up.
and one thing I feel like Ryan Johnson did kind of do a good job at here and really liked was world building. And I think he did a pretty damn good job, especially compared to a lot of the other movies in terms of building more of the world of Star Wars. I don't like where he took a lot of the lore decisions, but with the worlds, he had like a bunch of fucking, like, Luke's planet, the mineral salt planet, Canterbar with its like fucking, you know,
Cantabite.
like on the fucking like,
It's like Earth.
yeah, Earth.
Cantabite, I mean Earth.
What'd y'all think of Luke's little fucking planet, yo?
I thought.
I love the wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And
It's
it's-
got
Did y'all see the dragon tail in the water?
Yeah, that like big ass like sea
When
creature.
she first turns
was-
around and
when
just shows the
she's-
tail,
yeah.
like I think he did a good job with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
like
thought it was like a good place to like him trying to just dip off and not go nowhere. Like I don't want to see him like do that dip off and just go to like some like busy area or something like that. You're saying like he just off in the island, just stand by himself. He can survive off the stuff that's there. So like he's just
Hell
staying
yeah.
there.
what did those like caretakers of the island? Did those look like straight from an anime or something to you? For
Kinda-
some reason, they
yeah,
just
it
look
reminds
like that
me
to
of
me.
like
Of something from an anime.
this really weird one I watched with like people that have like telekinetic powers in Japan. And it's like in the future, but they act like it's in the past, and then
No, I
there's
don't know
like
that.
these little pygmy characters. It's fucking weird.
I don't know why. It just reminded me of something like that you might see in Dragon Ball. Those characters would just be.
Oh,
Like,
I definitely see
perfect.
those in Dragon Ball because it's
Yeah.
like Kai, yo.
Yeah, they're just like sort of animalistic characters.
Yeah.
That as soon as I saw those, it made me think of that. But you know, they're cool.
Anyways, yeah, not
and
this.
also
I like
the salt planet, as we talked about before. I love the visual effect of that. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the crystal foxes.
Although when I first
Yeah, I
saw
thought
it,
it was really cool.
when I first saw it, because of the fifth movie, how you know, like people say the Force Awakens was very much like the fourth movie, and then they had the salt planet come through. At first, I didn't realize it was salt, and I thought it was snow. And I was like, are they really having a fucking another snow planet on the fifth, you know, the fifth movie, and then
Right.
now the eighth movie? I was like, what the fuck?
Well, in the seventh movie at
Yeah.
the end, remember at the end of Force Awakens, they're in the snow planet.
Well, yeah, but I'm just meant of like copying scenes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the fifth movie, the second in the original trilogy, was
You're
on a
thinking,
snow
oh.
planet.
How many actual planets were like in this one? I don't think it was that many. I think it was like the majority of it was on ships.
Well, it
Yeah.
was Canto Bight and the
That's
Jedi
the rich
Temple
place,
and
the
um,
island.
and then the place at the end, the old Rebel base. So 3 different planets.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's not a lot.
That's I mean, that's pretty good. We also get, as far as world building wise, we get the new technology, which is the ability to trek through hyperspace, which I think is probably a big deal. I mean, they use the ability to escape through hyperspace in like
Yeah.
every chase ever in Star Wars or something. So the fact that they can now track through that is probably going to be a big deal moving forward.
J.J. Abrams, I'm like, fuck you,
Yeah, he's
Ryan
like, oh,
Johnson.
god damn it.
You
Yeah.
ruined everything. I
um,
have to write
Plots now.
that, and as well as we get the, at the very least, we get the cannon thing.
The
at
drill?
end. Yeah, I don't know, not drill, but yeah, whatever
Yeah, I
it
know
is.
what you mean. Yeah, so going into the next thing, Poe Dameron and his story arc line. I did not like it. I thought Poe was a fucking
I
bitch
think
this whole
no,
movie.
I don't mind Poe at all. It was Holdo who I didn't like because
Well, I
Holdo
didn't like her either, other than she was really oddly sexy.
It's just
just fucking
kind of fairly normal sexiness.
No,
just sexy in general.
the problem I had with her is the fact that she's like, basically, hey, Poe Dameron, you're the type of guy who's going to do something crazy. So I'm not going to let you in on this plan that might keep you from doing something crazy. Just go do something crazy.
Yeah, I didn't
like,
like that
she
either.
explains exactly the type of guy that he is in the first scene, and then does the exact opposite thing that you would want to do with that guy. If she would have just been like, look, pull him aside and be like, look, here's my plan. Don't tell anyone because we don't want anybody to know. But this is the plan. This is what we're doing, and it's going to work out. We're just going to do our thing. I think Poe would have been fine. Then again, that would have been a boring movie probably for Poe. He would have just been standing around. But from a plot standpoint, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would she not tell him?
I completely agree with that. Like this situation, her and his little conflict could have been solved easily in a couple of words. Like this is what
Yeah.
Also,
me and
it's
Leia
like-
had talked about, and this is the plan. So just calm down, be cool, and go with it.
'Cause,
You know?
Poe's been like Leia's like right hand man, like,
For, like, the whole
protege
time.
for like the entire time, and now it's like, oh, she's asleep. So
Fuck you, Poe.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Who are you, pilot
Sorry,
boy?
Captain.
Fly boy, little fly bitch. What
He's
are you
like,
gonna do?
"Commander."
Go zoom around,
Yeah.
shoot some laser beams. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here,
You know who
Poe.
I am? I'm Saint Vincent. That's who I am. That's who Holdo looks like for me. Saint Vincent.
I kind of see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like
that
the
scene was
older-
The
just
gray afro.
that scene was just like it's just crazy.
Hers was blue, wasn't it? Her hair was
I
blue.
don't know.
Emmett's got places to go.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've got a bed to get in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really late for us. Yeah, I mean, for me,
But
yeah.
I didn't think Poe was doing anything against character at all. It made sense that
He's
like she
brash.
said,
He's
he's
like-
like the guy he'll do something crazy.
He's hot-headed.
And the whole time she was like, "Don't worry about it. Fuck off, Poe." Like, put that character in a situation where he thinks you're all gonna die. He'll figure out a way to try and save himself.
He literally
Or save-
staged a fucking mutiny.
Yeah, he does. Which is great.
But they turned around and they were like, it's okay.
That's the part of those whole problem. Like, if that happened in a real life, like, bro, you're going to the fucking
You're gonna be
bridge
shot.
or jail or shot
Nah.
or whatever.
Nah, Leia wouldn't do that. Leia would be like, "Come on."
Well, yeah, she also stopped it.
Fuck
Yeah.
Leia.
Yeah,
Another
her waking
thing,
up
real
is the
quick,
thing.
just to mention, Leia, after her little Force fucking scene, should have used the Force multiple other times in this movie, just little bits.
Well, she just lets Poe like take the reins almost because I think that's what they wanted.
Well,
they
I think
want
that's
Poe to
obviously
be the
what's
leader at
happening.
the end.
Yeah.
So
I mean, especially with her dying in real life.
just
now,
backs off.
R.I.P. But obviously he's gonna take over.
Yeah.
One other little quick thing. There's just so many of these little stupid things. There's so much,
I cried about Carrie Fisher like 5 times during this movie.
Wow,
wow.
Just like a tear. Dude.
Okay.
Just,
Damn.
I miss her.
I was over it by the time the movie came out.
I mean, you're an asshole.
All right,
Another look with Laura Dern's character,
bad.
man.
Sorry,
I
Yeah.
got feelings.
Why did
Sorry,
she?
Jared.
Why did she have to stay on the ship?
she does not. I don't know
She
why.
had, because someone had to be piloting it.
Why?
But drove spaceships. They don't have
because they weren't
autopilot.
set in autopilot.
I was just thinking that y'all, it's just that y'all are in the future, so y'all don't have autopilot for these spaceships.
Dude, they
Like-
walk away from it all the time and just leave it on autopilot.
Exactly. So I'm saying like y'all don't have autopilot.
It's just another one of those little plot holes, man. That's why the movie could be like a 10 of 10
She
or a
could-
9 of 10, but the reason it gets a 7 of 10 is because of these stupid little plot holes.
The only reason I could think of her doing that was to set up the fact that she was going to hit
Yeah.
the other ship with
Well,
the
that-
hyper jump.
Another thing, she took so fucking long to do it.
She did take a long time to do it.
She
But
let,
she was like,
Also-
she had like 5 ships get blown up before she did something. I'm
she
like,
was like, I'm just gonna keep watching these ships get blown
like she
up.
was like, turn around, turn
Yeah, she
around,
did. Also,
and
I
just
thought it
stared
was
off.
crazy. Why didn't she just like block the view of the transport? You know what I mean? Why didn't she just turn the ship so that you couldn't see the transport ships going through the planet?
Also very true. At that point, at least.
Like before they started shooting at the ships, why not just turn it and just be like,
Oh, well, because they were trying to sneak onto the planet and let them go by, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
all right.
Because they didn't want to have a confrontation. They weren't like trying to go down there and be like, all right, we're going to hold it out here. They were trying to go down there and just let them like blow up the main
Find
ship
the
and be
main
like,
ship,
okay,
yeah.
they blew it up.
Yeah.
We win. Yeah.
They didn't know. Yeah, they didn't know people were on those little ships until they caught Finn and Rose and
Until
DJ. And
DJ
DJ told them.
Yeah.
But they was gonna actually just let the ships go by because that's what.
Sorry.
That's what Leia
Right?
was saying. They're not trying to track little cargo ship. They're trying to track the big main ship.
Who's the next big celebrity who's going to get in Star Wars and just be like, have the weirdest fucking voice? That's all
Where
I'm
does
wondering.
voice? Where does voice?
That's all I'm saying.
Eddie Murphy.
Great.
Dude, I haven't seen Eddie Murphy in a while, so I'll be down with that, yo.
I heard Eddie Murphy's coming
Remember
to
fuck-
America too, man.
Dude, you remember that movie Pluto Nash, bro?
Oh my god.
Like the most hated movie.
I fucking love Pluto Nash.
I've never seen that movie. No, I just got it. Oh god, I'm trying.
He's got
Okay.
piss. Anyways,
He didn't say anything, so I was
Tyler's
like, why are
gonna
you moving?
Tyler's taking a piss, but we'll keep going. What were we just talking about?
We were talking about the cargo ships trying to land on the other planet to get away from
Just ruining all that audio.
get away from Snoke's dreadnought, whatever it was.
Yeah, that is what it is. Another thing to talk about real quick, Snoke. Actually, there's a few little big bombers that drop here. We kind of been avoiding here this whole time, but we got to talk about. We don't know shit about Snoke. He's been set up as this fucking villain, and they just fucking kill him off in the movie.
Yeah, they kill him off without
They
us
don't tell you shit.
learning anything about him or without him really doing much.
Yeah.
Really at all, to be honest. So, kind of a pointless character almost at this point. I don't know if he's actually dead.
Yeah.
I don't think he's dead either.
But the way he got taken out was kind of like hit and miss for me. Like earlier I was talking to Josh and Jared about it, like I kind of disagree with it, but at the same time I'm like I can kind of see. I don't know. It's just that the way he just got set up seemed kind of like cheesy, like for some reason I don't know why, but it's like I could kind of see it going down like that. I mean,
I agree with
It's
you.
sort of like people seem to have this idea that if he can see so clearly into Kylo's mind, then how could Kylo somehow kill him? But I think the point is that he's like being arrogant and all that stuff. So he's basically blinding himself that and he's like, I see you turning the lightsaber. So Kylo's turning one lightsaber while he's turning the other lightsaber. And he's like, I see you igniting the lightsaber. So he's like igniting the other lightsaber instead of his lightsaber. So it's supposed to be like him tricking him, essentially.
That's the confusion I could see about it. Cause I guess he can like see into his mind and sense stuff, but he can't see it completely clear.
He's not seeing like pictures. He's just seeing the will to do a thing.
Yeah.
And so all he sees is that Kylo is turning a lightsaber,
So it's
about
always-
to turn it on or whatever.
So it's always about the feeling, but not seeing like the clear picture of it.
I can see that actually. That explains
Yeah.
it a lot more to where I can see it happening.
Yeah, me too.
On that note, I do think he might still be alive. I think it's definitely a possibility. He was fucking super strong.
Or
He was.
either he might still be alive, or there might be like a lot more Snokes or something that he's from out there.
Yeah.
Because in the canon or whatever, there's this mysterious dark forces that are out dark force that's out in the fucking like Outer Rim or unknown regions rather, that nobody fucking knows what it is, and they have yet to explain it, and they keep building it up. In every book that comes out, they just keep building it up. So I'm like, what the fuck is it? And what does Snoke have to do with it, if anything? So it could be maybe that was Snoke, or maybe it could be Snoke's a part of a race of people who were out there or something.
That's
like,
why
we don't know.
That's why I was hoping what you were talking about. That's why I was hoping it was going to be on the Jedi Island when Rey was going into that hole. I was hoping that was going to be leading more into
He was going to
that
hint about it. Okay.
darkness that's beyond, and Luke was going to come down there and just stop her from messing with
You
him.
don't want to know? Yeah, that would have been cool.
So that would have made sense. That would have been like the other side
Why
of the
didn't
darkness.
we write this movie?
Dude, I'm telling you, so many things
I'm
we could have
telling
just
you, man.
rewrote, yo.
Like that's what I thought it was actually going to be, cause that was like, cause it's like, it's supposed to like represent darkness. So if she would have went down there and she would like really seen the darkness that would have been beyond, but like nothing happened when she went down. Like she didn't get no answers, and then she didn't see nothing like horrible. It's just like she just saw like 32 other rays and just snapped
They were doing her snapping over here making a fucking musical. Anyways, yeah, I mean, that was kind of a lot of the theme to the whole movie, man. It was just like, this is happening, but nothing actually
The
really
themes
happens.
don't come together for me very well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think maybe that's because this may have started off as a Grey Jedi-esque script, and Disney went, no, we're just going to have a Jedi and a Sith at the end of this, and they had to just change it to according to that or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't even
could have been.
Wasn't even a good Jedi and Sith
Because-
fight. Be real about it.
Yeah.
What it was cool though was
It
after
was cool,
Snoke died, that fight scene in the throne room.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
That was one of the best
That was a good
Jedi
scene.
fight scenes, whatever. Like, that was one of the best, like, Star Wars fight scenes, period. That was a really fucking good fight scene.
And I just thought that scene was interesting because after they had like beat all the guards and stuff, how Kylo was talking to Rey, like he was like, "Let's forget the Sith, let's forget the Jedi, let's forget this, and just make our own new thing, our own new order." And I like how the fact like he was technically saying the same thing that Luke was saying, like,
Right,
let's
right.
not worry about the Jedi no more. Let's
Just
not worry about this.
forget the past.
Just forget everything. He was technically saying the same thing. He was saying the same thing as Luke, and I just thought that was really interesting.
They could have probably just kind of ended the movie there. Wow. And when I say in the movie, I mean like in all Star Wars movies there. Like of the Skywalker. They could have just been like, not that they should have done this, but they could have been like, she says yes and she's like, all right, but they're alive. We'll create our own new thing. And there's like, they'll create like a new order. Fuck, they'd like kill Hux.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just like make the world a better place and just, or something, you know, like.
Well,
They
they would have been influenced by the dark side for sure if they
True.
would. I mean, that was a very selfish thing to like. Kylo is very selfish in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Kylo's selfish in general. He's an angry little bastard.
Yeah.
Every time he sees like fucking Han Solo's ship, yo, get that fucking ship! He just freaks the fuck out.
And I just thought at some point Rey was going to turn evil, and it would have been like really interesting because like Josh was bringing up earlier, like to have like a female villain like Sith Lord, it would have been pretty cool. So I was thinking at one point she was like going to turn bad because let's say like Kylo did convince her by telling her that nobody wanted you, like your parents didn't want you, but I want you. And so in her state of mind, she probably could have went over to him. Like, could have been with him, because, like he said, I'm the only one that wants you, nobody else wants you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true, but that's not true.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is like he's like, I'm the only one who cares about you or wants you, and it's like, well, actually, there's like everybody in the Resistance,
Exactly.
including Finn, or for sure Finn, and also Chewie. At least, like, there's
Yeah.
plenty of people that care about her. It doesn't really work out. Maybe that's the whole thing. She just goes, no, that's not true. It's okay. I'm glad that she didn't go with him. It would be cool maybe to have a female villain at some point. That'd be great. But
Well, yeah, I
don't think her story works.
I saw someone else kind of talk about this too the other day, and it's just like all the cool female characters are on the rebel side or whatever, so it's just kind of like, they don't have to all be on one side kind of thing. Anyways.
You can have strong female characters on the evil side too.
And I just thought it was interesting because at the end of the day, Luke was telling her, like, after Rey and Luke got into, like, the little fight scene they had, he told her that you can't save Kylo Ren, like, he's too far gone. And at the end of the day, he was technically still kind of right. Because he was still going to let her friends and stuff get killed and stuff like that. He wasn't going to try and save them.
Yeah, man, he was trying to get rid of everybody. He was like, fuck it.
Yeah, destroy everything of the past.
Snoke's
let me ask you guys.
Definitely.
Right.
All of that.
How did you guys feel about Rey and her fucking parents? If that's
exactly what I was thinking about.
Okay.
I thought it was great. If
Yeah.
it's true that her parents aren't anybody, then I like it as a plot point.
We don't know if it
Because
could have
it's
been something just like
to throw her off.
planted into, exactly, to throw her off.
But like, if it is true, I like it because it doesn't, like, it keeps the focus on her and what she's doing instead of
Agreed.
rather than just
And I
like, oh,
think
this
it's
is
a
what you were
good-
meant to do. Like, no, she's just completely choosing to do it.
It's a cool contrast between sort of like Kylo Ren, and we always keep being like, oh, the Skywalker blood and all that
Yeah,
type
the
of
tropes,
stuff. But
like-
it's really great to have like actually, just anyone can be powerful, and this is the contrast between Kylo and Rey, which is really great. And I think it is probably likely just because I was paying specific attention to this to see if it was like Snoke planted it in that idea. But Kylo doesn't really say, you had shitty parents. He goes, you know the truth. You know what it is. She's like, yeah, I had bad, they were nothing. I had no good parents or whatever. They were junk traders. So she knows it. Which means it still could have been planted, but the way the scene plays out, it almost implies, like, completely. It almost completely confirms that, yeah, that's what it's right. What it is.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
We can agree to disagree on that. My problem with it is that everything people wanted to find out in this movie, things like who Snoke was, who her parents were, they
what
can
the
do
fuck
that.
Luke has been up to.
What the fuck, Luke?
It's all been a disappointment.
It's all been a disappointment. Like, if I'm okay with some of that being a disappointment, but to make everything a disappointment, I did not like at all.
Agreed. I'm just saying that that's one that I'm like, okay, I get it. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can be okay with it. I don't necessarily think it's true. I think there's a very big possibility we're gonna come back and be like, oh, actually, Palpatine's your father, or whatever, just some shit. What if it came back? Palpatine was Snoke, and Palpatine was her father, and she was fucking playing Palpatine was playing all these people the whole time.
Well, how
Womp
old would
womp.
he be at this point? Well, I guess
I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
really
He
matter.
can just live
Because
forever.
he's gross. Yeah.
Because he's gross.
He's super gross.
Is there anything else you want to talk about in this?
Did we talk about... What didn't we talk about?
Man, I think overall that's pretty much it. Like, I think it was a fun movie. I think a lot of the world building and things like that were cool. The artistic style it took. I think it had lots of stupid plot holes that didn't need to be there, and I think any director worth his salt would have seen that should have been changed.
We can talk about what happens with Luke at the end. I don't know if we talked about that.
Oh, yeah, he just
Luke he astro projects himself, and it's cool. And I think I would have wished he would have done more while there, because it shows that he can do some stuff. He can, like, physically touch Leia. So it would have been cool if he was, like, destroying the walkers or something, just to show how powerful he is.
And
Go
I
ahead.
also noticed that when Poe was trying to figure out a way how to get out of there, out of the base, and he was actually saying like, how did Luke get in? When he said how did Luke get in, I realized that point was technically invalid for some fact.
It
Luke was a
invalid.
hologram. He was a
I was
hologram.
actually about to
But
mention
also
this.
because he didn't actually get in, and it
Yeah.
was blocked. So
Also-
it still made sense.
Well,
If you rewatch the movie, I saw this when we were rewatching it. He doesn't leave. Luke doesn't leave footprints on the fucking thing on the snow, whatever.
On the salt
The
or
salt.
whatever?
He leaves no footprints while they're fighting. You'll see. You'll clearly.
That's
There's
cool.
one part in particular you
The
clearly
first guy
see.
steps up there, and he's
Cl-
got
you'll
a
s-
red
well,
footprint.
yeah, but I'm saying like when Kylo and him are fighting, you clearly see there's one part they specifically show Kylo's feet, and he slides a little bit. Does that kind of like Dragon Ball Z kind of. We both see each other and slide a little bit. Kylo, you see him slide the red, and then it shows. It's crazy. You don't even fucking see it the first time watching it. But Luke goes through, boom, and you see him. You see Kylo's red. Sorry, I can't speak. Goddamn, it's late. Luke does it though, and you don't see any salt move or nothing. Like he just slides his foot and nothing happens.
It's cool.
That's right.
I like the astral projection thing, and a lot of people didn't like that he dies after that. I actually like it. I think
it really dying though.
Well, that's the thing. People are like, "Oh, what? He used too much force and then died." I'm like, "No, that's not what happened. He died in the same way that fucking both Obi-Wan Kenobi dies and Yoda dies. Both of them just let go.
Yeah.
Both of them just accept death and then they fade and they become a Force ghost, which is very clearly what he does. He goes, "All right, I handled the shit that I needed to do. I'm passing the torch. I'm gonna become a Force ghost and probably show up in the next movie."
Yeah. Oh, 100% he's going to be there.
So I think it made perfect sense, the way it played out. I actually like the ending of. I didn't like Luke's character throughout the movie, but the way it ends, I was completely happy with.
Yeah, see, because that part is one of the parts where it really not clicked with me, but like made me think of it as like where like Star Wars is cheesy.
Yeah,
in the same way like Doctor
pulpy.
Who is cheesy.
It's
like
pulpy.
that's the point. Like it's them doing the best with what they got, so it's not always going to look fucking amazing. And at that point where it's just kind of like his body just kind of like disappears and it flows down, and like I heard people go like, "Oh, this is like, yeah, it looks dumb." That's the point. Like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
He's disappearing into nothing. That's gonna look.
It's gonna look weird.
Yeah.
But I wish I just would have seen some still some epicness from him, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was on his way out. Why not give him a big, like a good Force show? A good show of like, this is a Master Jedi
at full strength.
Well,
Exactly,
not full
like-
strength really, but
Just rips all the fucking AT-ATs down and shit.
Well, I mean,
Or
it's not
like-
like he just would did like a little force push at him and just would just knock them back a little bit.
Like we had an entire army of full Master Jedi, and they all got shot.
yeah,
So,
but arguably those dudes were punks.
compared to this guy
Compared to this guy.
with
Well-
his month and a half of training in a swamp.
No, but really, if you think about
That's
it,
a good point. I'm sorry to say,
if
but
you
that's
think
a good
about
point.
it, like if the light always comes to match the dark or whatever, there was only 2 fucking Sith, and there were like 10,000 Jedi. So clearly those Jedi were punk bitches compared to like anybody else. And then if you go into this current canon, there's like Luke and Rey versus Snoke and Kylo. That's it.
Justified all you
Just
want,
like
Jared. It's
4
fine.
people.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Give it some time.
Yeah. So I love how also all the people J.J. Abrams brought into the movie were in this fucking movie. That's cool.
What? What do you mean?
Like he always has these certain guys, people he works with because they're friends with him. Like the
Wait,
the
was
fat
Snaps
white
in
guy. No, that's the pilot,
Matt
right?
Wexley? Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in there. The Asian guy, he wasn't in there. So I thought I'm sorry. I just kind
You
of
were
noticed.
happy that they weren't there?
No, I wasn't. I'm just saying I noticed it. I was just like, just throwing it out there and fucking I don't understand why he was like, oh, well, J.J. Abrams not here, so fuck both of y'all.
He'll come back in this new JJ.
Yeah, he'll be there. They'll be in there in the
He'll
new
be like,
one.
man, remember that crazy thing that happened last time? Snap Wexley just being like, oh, I can't believe we survived that, guys.
A lot of people didn't really like Yoda. I loved Yoda.
Yoda was Yoda.
Puppet Yoda. He was Puppet Yoda. And he was able to make lightning while being a Force ghost, which, both of those things might bother people. I accepted it.
I had no problem.
I mean, if he's dead and still like alive, like lightning's not the most surprising thing about that part. That's the thing I'm talking about is people that have problems with it. It's like, oh, well, my suspension of disbelief is okay for this part because I liked it. But this part, no, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen because it just wouldn't happen.
I can accept that it will happen. I just think it says something about what Force Ghosts can do.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, well, then now we know that Force Ghosts can have a physical effect on reality or whatever, which I didn't know that they could do.
Depending on who they are and their mastery of it.
Yeah, right. And that's a good point that, Yoda probably is just a real chill ass.
Because the way I always thought about it is like they just give away their physical forms. They just become one with the Force.
Right, yeah.
Become more immersed in it.
What
like
it
a
is,
higher dimension.
Yeah, but they still
what it
can
is
do
like,
things.
especially when you die, you lose you become one with the Force, but you lose your sense of self or whatever. So what the Jedi, like 4 of them now, can basically figured out how to do is become one with the Force without losing their sense of self, essentially. Their personality and stuff. They get to keep it. So they're not really...
They're dying in the same way that everyone else is dying,
yeah.
but they retain much higher sense of control.
Exactly,
over
yeah.
what
They're
the
still dying
energy
like everyone else, but because
from them
they're
goes into
able
it.
to
But they have their own
accept it and
independence. They have their own independence.
Yeah. They don't lose their self when they die, where everybody else in general does. Because there's a big thing about that where the Sith are constantly trying to figure out how to live, but they don't care about this Force Ghost nonsense.
Because that's why they keep saying it's like, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. Because you could never imagine letting yourself go.
Exactly, yeah. The Sith can't,
things.
they're too selfish to be like, they can't achieve that Force Ghost. That doesn't even, like, register as an idea to them.
They're all, like, trying to... They'd be like, I'd have to die.
Exactly.
And dying means losing.
Exactly. And so all the Sith are just obsessed with trying to live forever. And then the Force, the light side version of that is just accept death and become a Force Ghost. So it's a cool, like, balance. I like that.
So it definitely makes sense to me that they could make fucking lightning when,
I guess.
regular Sith Lords that are still alive can make lightning. And you probably have to think about it as, like, their physical connection to the Force when they're alive is probably like a drop in the fucking bucket to when they're literally a part of it.
A part of the Force, yeah.
Cool.
But maybe they have to act according to the Force more, like they lose their free will a little bit, maybe?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like the idea of the Force is free will. It's like everything's balanced. Like, you can make a choice and it's going to have positive and negative aspects always.
It's going to balance out. Means. It's going to balance out in the universe.
That's what the Force means. It's like there's always going to be a good thing and a bad thing. There's always going to be a good thing and a bad thing. It's not that you can't choose.
Right.
You're not allowed to be good or bad. It's just that there's always going to be...
If you choose bad, a good will rise.
Well, I guess that's the question is what I'm saying is...
Cause and effect.
If, say, the Jedi, when he's alive, does a thing and it has the effect on the balance of the Force or whatever, but it's his choice. If he's a Force Ghost, is it him a resultant of another thing? Like, that's the Force balancing itself out?
Well, if they're retaining their sense of self, I would say no. It's them still making choice because it's so rare and not really a thing that happens. It's like it's still just them.
Not something that happened until recently.
They just have more power.
But since it started happening, basically every Jedi is like,
well, they're also like direct teacher students.
Yeah. I'm just saying we're gonna get like 50 years from now.
Also, when you've got 3 of them telling you how to do it right behind you, it's like, okay, this is pretty easy.
I get it. Yeah.
After like the second or third guy, they're like, we all get this.
I'm just saying it's funny to me because there's like 100 years from now, there's going to be like every Jedi that dies.
Every single one.
Like, it's going to be at the end of the movie. It's going to be like those, like it's going to be at the end of the movie, like when you see those like those pictures on the wall of like a sports team or something, and there's like 30 of them lined up together. It's just going to be that in the clouds. It's going to be like 30 fucking Jedi lined up next to each other.
Just like
doing those weird like we're not in the same room smiles at each other. Pointing like 2 feet above each other's heads. Yeah.
Overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. I had issues, but I really liked it. Like I said, I can't wait for J.J. Abrams to come back. I love him as a director and writer, and I think hopefully he can shore up some of those plot holes and make a really great 9th movie.
The good thing about this movie is that I feel that it basically goes through all the rest of the movies. It goes through the 5th and the 6th movie with some recycled scenes, and it basically, I think, does a really good job of just opening up what's going to happen in this next movie.
It's an establishing movie.
Yeah, like anything can happen in this last movie because this movie just like, let's wrap it up. The Force, the First Order versus the Resistance are now basically 1-to-1. I think, I'm not really sure, but they're pretty, low. Both of them are pretty down. And all the characters kind of are now like together and ready to move into something. So,
and in positions of power where they're going to make a difference.
Exactly. So I think we're going to have a cool... J.J. Abrams is free to do a lot of things, I think.
Anything else?
Who's that?
J.J. Abrams? Jar Jar Abrams?
I don't know that name.
Jar
Abrams. I don't know that name. What's that name?
He's the guy who did Lost.
Oh, I never watched that.
He was Lost.
That was the polar bear, right?
There was a polar bear.
I didn't see Lost.
Yeah,
that was the main plot point, the polar bear.
But there was a polar
That's what I got.
I thought it was just all...
from the 5 minutes
purgatory.
I saw when I was like 14.
Anything else?
Nope.
Cool.
We all had fun.
Yeah,
it was
we
great.
did. Thank you for coming.
I thought it was a great
Tyler,
movie.
Jared, and Josh. I didn't really give it too much of an introduction at the beginning, but that's who's here. Thank them for coming.
And Emmitt.
They're awesome.
You didn't say Emmitt, did you?
I did say Emmitt.
Okay.
Emmitt's a presence on his own.
Yeah.
So
you could just see him.
You could sense him. You could feel him.
Exactly. I'm a
He's
Force
not
ghost.
He's in the Force.
He's a Force ghost.
Emmitt's a Force ghost.
Yeah, and if you heard coughing, I'm sorry. I'm sick today. I probably got all them sick again.
If you heard me coughing, I'm sorry. It's the illegal drugs.
Yeah. So have a good night. We love you. And we'll see you next time.
Kisses. Let's get this show
Where
over.
are you, Christmas?
Christmas time is here.
Different song.
Anyways,
Like
we
that.
love you guys.
It's called a mashup.
Okay.
It's hip. It's what the kids are into.
What's up, motherfuckers? We back once again.
I can't sit through any of your intros. They're just every single one of them. It's like,
All right.
It's just a bomb of hilarity.
Let's go, baby. God damn it, I hate everybody.
let's go, baby.